Hello and welcome back to another week for This Week in Bitcoin. Today is February 2nd, 2024, and we're going to be reviewing everything to do with the crypto markets over the past 7 days. As always, before we jump into today's topic, make sure to drop a like, a thumbs up on the video below. It's super helpful for the algorithm. Make sure you are subscribed if you're not already, and hit the bell notification icon to stay up to date with all the latest action in the crypto space. We've got videos coming almost every single day, so you're going to want to stay in the loop on all of the action. So this week in Bitcoin has been another very interesting week. Obviously, we are still in the weeks after the Bitcoin ETF approval, and a lot of different price action going on as a result of that. Right off the bat, we've got the market cap back up a little bit over this time last week. We were sitting at about 1.61 trillion. We're now back up to about 1.66 trillion. So again, a little bit more capital flowing into the market as a whole, and a little bit of a bump in overall market cap as a result. Looking at the fear and greed index next, we are back up above the 60s level. So we had dropped down to about 52 this time last week, back up over the 60s, just kind of showing us that there's a little bit more aggression, let's say, coming into the market. Not as much fear, a little bit more greed creeping back in as we have this additional inflow of capital over the past 7 days. So interesting to see that getting played out. Next up, we've got the top performers for the past week or so. Going to change this to the 7-day chart. Very little movement overall, we could say, with regards to some of the larger caps. I think, Bitcoin up barely, pretty much the exact same as it was this day last week. Ethereum ever so slightly down, less than 0.5%. Some larger gainers for sure. We've got ICP, Link, and AVAX kind of leading the way with about a 10% gain, 8% for ICP, 7% for AVAX, and then a whole bunch of the other middle caps like Solana, ADA, Tron, etc., all up maybe 1, 2, 3% over the week. So definitely a bit of a mixed bag, probably a little bit more green than red here overall in terms of market growth, given that new influx of capital over the past week or so. But in general, kind of seeing most of the larger caps having very, very minor moves over the past week or so. Obviously, just a reminder that we are on the halving countdown over the next few weeks. We are heading towards an estimated halving date of 59 days at this point. This is a moving target. Obviously, the halving will occur at a block height of 840,000. So this calculator is counting down 59 days from now. Obviously, that can change. It was estimated to be around the 20th of April last week. So it's likely we're going to hit it sometime in April, middle to late April. There's been a bit of a shift here in the past week or so, but just a reminder that we will have that supply shock event once again in about 60 days' time. And as we've looked at in many of the other videos on this channel, the halving event is a very important inflection point in the 4-year Bitcoin cycle. Typically, we tend to see a bull market in the 12 to 18 months after the halving event, and we typically see the peak of the bull market peaking out about 12 to 18 months after that. So that would put us at around Q4 of 2025 for a bull market peak. So always worth keeping this in mind as we think about our macro strategy. Stock to flow model, again, obviously what we're seeing here is just the mapping of the stock to flow, but obviously as we inch towards the halving, that's what the colors are representing here on this chart. Again, it'll be interesting to see how the stock to flow model plays out in the aftermath of the halving event, but the halving event here is denoted with this dotted line. we are obviously inching closer towards it, and we can kind of see, as per all previous cycles, that the supply shock that is caused by the halving event typically tends to see the price accelerate in the 12 to 18 months after it, as we have just alluded to. So again, interesting to see how this will play out. Can we hit that 100K mark in 2024? And how high can we go in 2025? Obviously, all of that remains to be played out, but it'll be very interesting to see if the stock to flow model holds and if we get a similar pattern as we've seen in the previous 3 cycles. Bitcoin dominance, it is again slightly up on the week. So we are sitting at about over 52.5% Bitcoin dominance versus the rest of the market. We were about just under 52% around this time last week, so 52.5% as of this week. I think, again, with that capital inflow of about another 600 million into the market, with that inflow into the market, what we've probably seen is a lot of that being allocated to Bitcoin, but it'll be interesting to see how that filters down into altcoins over the next few weeks. And as we move towards talking about altcoins, again, looking at the altcoin season index, this is a monthly analysis, but basically it is still more of a Bitcoin month than an altcoin month. It is technically not altcoin season just yet. And once again, we have got the top 50 performance over the past month. So mapping out the top 50 cryptos by market cap and which ones are the best performers. We've got Sui, DAO, Link, Ethereum Classic, Tron, XMR, we've got Render, we've got Maker, we've got Litecoin, Ethereum. So all of these kind of the top performers, obviously Sui and DAO leading the way above 70% gainers in the past month. Bitcoin itself up about just over 2% on the month. And then obviously we've got some of the worst performers over the past month in particular. We've got Near Protocol, we've got HBAR, Algorand, Filecoin, all down about 19-20%. Some of the middle worst performers like VeChain, Mina, XLM, and Atom all down around 6 to 8%. So definitely some outliers here with Sui and DAO, etc., having exceptional months. Bitcoin itself up ever so slightly on the month, and then the majority of altcoins in the top 50 performing slightly worse than all of those kind of outliers. So again, it'll be interesting to see how this maps out over the next 12 to 18 months as we enter the bull cycle. Let us know in the comments below if there's any particular coins that you're holding and keeping an eye on. The next thing that we're going to look at are the narratives. Obviously, we've done other videos on some of the crypto narratives here and how the narrative cycles will have their own kind of day in the spotlight when it comes to the next bull market. So always worth keeping an eye on the different narratives, particularly for the assets that you're holding and thinking about which narratives those assets are part of. For month to date, obviously we're only on the 2nd day of February so far, but Oracle's taking up more of the mind share when it comes to the narratives. We've got derivatives, we've got real world assets, we've got liquid staking derivatives as some of the narratives that are kind of kicking off the month of February in terms of mind share. And then some of the worst performing narratives just over the past couple of days at the start of February. We've got wallets, liquid staking derivatives layer 2s, money markets, ordinals, DeFi privacy layer 2s. So again, super helpful resource here on Dune that's been curated by Crypto Carrillo. I will leave a link for this in the description below. But we've got narratives for year-to-date performance as well. So app chains, DeFi 2.0, oracles, and liquid staking derivatives are the 4 leading narratives since the beginning of this year. Tons of interesting resources on this site for all of your narrative needs. So check it out in your own time. There will be a link for it in the descriptions below. And next up, we've got the ETFs. So obviously ETFs have been trading for just about 3 weeks now. And again, we did a completely separate video on the ETFs, but a huge amount of Bitcoin being accumulated by the new ETFs in the first 3 weeks of trading. BlackRock leading the way with 66,000 Bitcoin accumulated over that time period. Fidelity are very close behind with about 59,000. And then we've got kind of the middle tier, you could say, of ETF issuers with ARK Invest, Bitwise, Invesco kind of in this 7 to 15K range. And then on the lower end, VanEck, Valkyrie, Franklin Thomas, and Wisdom3. So again, we've done a completely separate video that you can check out on the channel related to the ETFs, but this is a crazy amount of Bitcoin for them to have accumulated over the past 3 weeks alone. And this gives us a running total here, and we can just kind of see the tracking of the ETF in real time. But what this accumulates to now as of February 2nd is 170,000 Bitcoin have been accumulated by these ETFs, everyone excluding Grayscale, obviously, but by the newly 11 approved ETFs, they have accumulated a total of 170,174 Bitcoin in only a 3-week period. Once again, we need to remember there are only ever going to be 21 million Bitcoin, and they have managed to accumulate 170,000, which I think puts us pretty much at 1% of the entire Bitcoin supply is what these ETFs have managed to accumulate in just a 3-week period. So if they continue to accumulate Bitcoin at this same rate over the next few weeks and months, we are definitely in for a price squeeze, and it'll be extremely interesting to see how that plays out. So keep an eye on the ETFs. We'll be checking in every single week here to bring you all the up-to-date insights on the ETF and all of the ETF issuers. So make sure you are subscribed below if you want to stay in the loop on all of that. But that is a crazy amount of Bitcoin for them to be accumulating in such a short period of time. Finally, just a couple of hot stories of the week. Large amounts of inflows into Solana in the past day or two, which is why people are pointing towards the price pumping. So lots of inflow into Solana and some of the Solana related layer 2 projects. And another one of the hot stories this week is the Ripple hack that has happened in the past couple of days. Allegedly $112 million worth of XRP having been stolen and hacked. Just once again, serving as a reminder to keep your assets secure. Make sure that you are adhering to OPSEC best practices. Make sure that you have your keys backed up. Make sure that you have your crypto stored, maybe not on an exchange, but in a cold wallet or in a dedicated wallet for the assets that you're holding. So worth keeping an eye on that, making sure that you are adhering to security best practices and making sure that your assets are safe. So that is this week in Bitcoin. Make sure you are subscribed below. If you enjoy these videos, make sure that you hit the bell notification icon to stay up to date with all of the latest news in this space. We'll be dropping these videos every week, and we've got a whole bunch of other videos on the channel for you to check out for everything to do with Bitcoin and crypto. So make sure you are subscribed below, and we will catch you in the next one.